Hello. So I'm going to take some time here and rant about why the book that the Enchantress gives the Beast in the remake Beauty and the Beast movie is just ridiculous. It creates plot holes that it just does not make sense, and the scenes that it's involved with just make the movie so much worse. Let's jump into it. So this magic book is one of the gifts and conditions that the Enchantress gives the Beast when she places the spell on him. And I think we can acknowledge that in this movie she just gives too many. Not only does he need to learn to love another and get their love in return before the last petal falls, she also erases all the memory of the people that they love. And not only are his servants transformed into household objects, but they will die if the spell is not reversed. The castle falls apart as petals fall. He still gets the mirror that he can ask to see anything in, and then also gets the book. Which is pretty redundant because the mirror can show him anywhere. Why does he need the book to show him anywhere as well? Seems like overkill. And why? Why would the Enchantress give him this? What's her motivation? He says that it's the cruelest gift of all, right? A curse. But why? He can go anywhere. Why not just go to remote places where no one will see him or no one will care? He's not trapped in his castle. Is it to just torture him about how he doesn't belong out in the world amongst people? I don't know. Once again, it feels like overkill because I feel like transforming him into a beast is torture enough. And then, what does this book actually do? What is it capable of? He says it actually allows you to escape, imagine where you want to go, see it in your mind's eye, feel it in your heart. But when you go somewhere, are you going there physically or are you just sort of projected there? Initially in the movie, it does kind of seem like they are just kind of there spiritually, in your mind, just kind of being projected there, which would make more sense and work better, I think. Because if they are physically going there and they actually are going to Paris, I feel like that opens up a whole can of worms. Well, I do feel like this question gets answered when they show the flashback there in Paris. Her mom has that little rose rattle, and then at the end when she reunites with Maurice back in her village, she has that little rattle. And so it is undeniable they went to Paris physically, which then leads into an issue with the story. They have now set up a teleportation device, which has no payoff, really, in the story and with the plot. She now has a magical object that could transport her from the castle back to her village at the end of the movie when she urgently needs to get there. Why would she not use the book? And having a magical object to get you from one place to another is not new to the Beauty and the Beast story. In the original story, I think there's a ring that she has that he gives her that you twist it or something and it takes you to where you want to go. And in the 1940s something French Beauty and the Beast movie, there's a glove and maybe a mirror or something, and if she uses that glove, she goes from the castle to her home. I feel like this concept is pretty dang established in the Beauty and the Beast lore, and so for them to set up this book and then not use it is honestly kind of disappointing. And if she had used the book, maybe that would have given her enough time to change out of her ball dress and back into normal clothes so she wouldn't have to ditch her dress at the end of the movie and be in her underwear, maybe. Now, here is my actual biggest pet peeve when it comes to this book. It's the scene that happens with the book. They use it to go to Paris, and that scene just has a huge missed opportunity that I feel like would have fixed a lot of the story and character development for this movie. Belle finally gets closure about her mother. Through the whole movie, they have separately been building up this backstory with the prince and with Belle about their past and their relationship with their mothers. With the Beast, the servants talk about it a lot, and they show us in the song Days in the Sun of him losing his mother and what sort of negative effect that had on him. And with Belle, it is all through the movie. Her big first scene with Maurice is all about her mom and losing her and missing her, and it's brought up all through the movie. Once again, Days in the Sun, there's a line in there talking about her childhood. This subject was not a mistake. They put that backstory in there for both characters. And so at the end of this book scene, when they're at her old home, the Beast brings up the wrong parent. He brings up her father when he should have brought up her mother.
I'm sorry I ever called your father a thief.
And why was he apologizing for calling Maurice a thief? He was a thief. He waltzed right into the Beast's castle, ate a meal that was sitting on a table that he wasn't invited to, and then as he's leaving the property, he plucks a rose off a rose bush. I mean, he was the thief. Why would the Beast apologize for calling him one? Doesn't really make sense. But this is the moment. Belle, her mom's history has been a mystery for the most part. Her dad hasn't really brought her up. And through this movie, in my opinion, and sort of objectively, they have not done a good job of making the Beast and Belle bond over basically anything. You don't feel like they have any sort of relationship. And this is the opportunity where that could have happened. The next scene is the dance scene, and from there on out, like, the relationship stuff turns into, like, romantic relationship stuff. This is where they need to bond. And this was such a missed opportunity. He needs to bring up the subject of their mothers, and they need to have that connection. It would have sold their relationship if they had successfully had that happen. But instead, he brings up her dad and apologizes for something he shouldn't have. They swung and missed. Such a missed opportunity. I will end the video here with a small compliment. I feel like the scene does end well. It ends on a good note.
Let's go.
With her saying, "Let's go home," I feel like that's good in a couple of ways because it kind of gives the impression that she does now have closure, right? She's ready to leave. And also by saying, "Let's go home," it kind of implies that she sees the castle as a nice place to be, a good place to be, not so much a prison. And you get that by her calling it home. And then also, I do like how when it cuts back to the Beast, he kind of looks, surprised or maybe confused, but then he has that little smile. I just think that that's some really good, a good character moment is him just having that little smile after she says that. So I do think the scene ends good with those few last seconds, even though they butchered the entire rest of the scene. So there is my little rant on this ridiculous book that they put into this movie, how it's underused, doesn't make sense, creates plot holes, and it's just a missed opportunity. So thanks for sticking around and listening to me rant, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.